We've been to the town of Novak before. Many quests in the game bring us here. We've spent much of the time in and around the Dinky the Dinosaur and the Dino-Lite gift shop. And we've met the cast of characters inside the motel rooms. But just outside the motel is a small settlement where we find a number of buildings and even more characters, one of whom is a crazy hermit called Noonan. We've chatted with him in the past. Everyone says he's crazy, but he's the only member of the community who can tell us true information we need to solve mysteries. When we went to the Repcon launch facility, trying to figure out what was going on there, he's the only one who knew that the ghouls there were trying to board a rocket.
Folks will tell you that they seen ghouls up near the rocket factory. Sensationalist hooey, cooked up by superstitious yokels, seeing phantoms of their own imagining. Ghosts. Commie ghosts who don't know they're dead, hoping to steal our rockets so they can fly up and paint the moon pink and draw a Lenin face on it. I seen one of them disappear and reappear before my very eyes. Although, being a scientist, I have to admit I might have just blinked for longer than usual, what with the shock of seeing a commie ghost and so forth.
We often have to read between the lines to figure out the true bits of his crazy stories. And when we came here in search of Benny, he correctly pointed us to Manny Vargas atop Dinky the Dinosaur.
Sure have. Camouflage that coat was, trying to hide from extraterrestrials what can only see in black and white checkers. But they're not fooled, because he forgot to put checkers on his face. I told him so, and he seemed to take it to heart. They stayed here a night and was up by the dinosaur talking to the sniper fella with the mustache a couple of times.
And when we were trying to help Boone solve his personal tragedy, he was the only one to give us the information we needed to find the correct culprit.
Seen it all. Seen shadowy folk come to his room and leave again in the middle of the night. Thought one might have gone in the lobby too for a spell. Could be that person went in to get something. Or used the John, maybe. Mighty interesting either way, you ask me. I thought it was cannibals, come to eat us all for sure, so I kept out of sight. But now I know better. More rat men come up from the underneath to steal young women with promises of riches and fancy mud mansions with all the latest designer appliances. They covered our lady folks' long hair for wigs, it said, being either bald or balding themselves. I don't trust a man that doesn't have something strange going on about him, 'cause it means he's hiding it from you. If a man's wearing his pants on his head, or if he says his words backwards from time to time, you know it's all laid out there for you. But if he's friendly to strangers and keeps his home spick and span, more often than not he's done something even his own ma couldn't forgive.
But there is one final mystery here in the town of Novak that at first sounds like rubbish. Nobark likes to wander the town during the day, but at night he heads on over to his shack on the northwestern side of town. Heading inside, we see that it's heavily booby-trapped. He's got a rigged shotgun resting on some sandbag barricades, and he's got a bunch of hanging Nuka-Cola bottle traps. If we manage to sneak by unscathed, he's surprised.
What? How'd you get past the guards? They're here. Don't let them get the antidote. Oh, it's just you. You can't have it either. Who sent you? I ain't talking. They tried to get me to talk before, but I didn't say nothing. And I don't aim to now, by gum.
We can pass a 6 strength check to intimidate him and say, you're going to talk whether you like it or not.
I'll give up. Please don't do no harm to me, missy. Leastways not in my face. All I got left is my rugged good looks. What do you want to know?
Or we can say, hey, don't worry, Nobark, I don't mean any harm.
We'll just see about that. You come any closer and I'm liable to stick you with my sticking knife. Old Sticky's feeling mighty ornery this day.
If you're planning to be weird, I'm just gonna leave.
Weird's just normal when normal decides to start taking notice of things. You just think about that.
All right, then, well, we can talk from a distance.
You sure now? It's kind of hard to hear you.
He has the same response to both of these options. We can say, well, you said you were gonna stab me with that dirty knife.
Okay, just speak up a little. but not so much that they hear you. They got people everywhere, always listening.
Talk about what? Who was it that tried to make you talk?
Confound it, Nobark, you done it again. You let on that you know things. Now they'll never let you be. All right, stranger, you got me. What do you want to know?
Why do they call you Nobark?
'Cause they know I ain't just barking here. What I say has got bite, 'cause it's the truth. Them quack doctors can say what they want about all the rad scorpion stings that done pierced my skull. I know what I seen.
Can you tell me anything about what's been going on in town?
There's been things of a disturbing nature going on at the McBride Corral. Seems every night one of their herd meets a most unnatural death, and always there's holes all over the body. Work of the chupacabra, the livestock vampire, says Nobark, but they don't pay no mind. Too many holes, they say, and there's bullets in them. Well, says Nobark, we got a chupacabra with an automatic weapon. And that's when they get real quiet, because now they see the predicament we're in.
What else do you know about the deaths at the corral?
I come face to face with the chupacabra himself one night, whilst I was investigating whether this gecko was hiding his treasure from me. He was the meanest, ugliest chupacabra you could imagine. Had 2 heads and fangs down to the ground. Best I could tell anyways, since when he come up to me he was invisible. Had himself a blunderbuss, what would rotate and shoot bullets real fast out of a backpack. Never seen nothing like it. Walked right past me having an argument with somebody. But I only saw one chupacabra, so I guess the other fella had to be invisible too, only more invisible than the other one.
We can learn a lot about the attacker through this conversation. He thinks it's a chupacabra, but he does say that the creature was invisible. The only creatures we know that are regularly invisible are Stealth Boy using Nightkin. He says this creature had a blunderbuss that shot bullets really fast out of a backpack. That sounds a whole lot like a minigun. And he said that this creature walked right past Nobark having a conversation with someone. Well, we already know from the events at Jacobstown that the Nightkin suffer from schizophrenia. From this conversation, all evidence points to a Nightkin being responsible for shooting the Brahmin at the corral. Nobark Noonan is one of the NPCs whom we can play Caravan with.
Sure, old Nobark is always looking to play. Not for entertainment, mind you, but because if you look at the cards right, you can know the future.
Though he's the only one who interprets playing cards as superstitious. Well, it looks like we need to track down this corral to find out what's going on with those murdered Brahmin. Heading southwest down the road, we can explore the outskirts of Novak. We find the door to a Novak home just south of Nobark's house. This is the home to a random, unnamed Novak settler. In here we find a few beds, and the only loot we find is a Sunset Sarsaparilla Star bottle cap in the kitchen, which we can loot without repercussions. Heading out and turning west, we see a makeshift workshop here. A lot of the scrap here is set to owned, but we can use the workshop. Moving east of here, we find a ruined shack we can't enter, but just outside we do find 2 graves that we can exhume, if we're not afraid of robbing from the dead. Moving southwest, we find the door to Jeannie Mae Crawford's house. If we ended up executing her at the end of Boone's quest, even though everything in here is marked as owned, we can loot the contents of her house with no karma loss. Moving west of Jeannie Mae's house, we find another settler house. Almost everything here is set to owned, including a 10mm pistol on a table, though there is an easy-locked first aid kit in the bathroom that we can unlock and loot without repercussions. Heading out from here, if we move southwest, we find a mess hall of sorts where the settlers go to eat their various meals, plates and food laid out on a makeshift table. And then south of here is a pre-war parking lot for the motel with another abandoned house. The corral that we're looking for is just northwest of the parking lot. Here we find a fenced-in area with a bunch of thriving Brahmin, and next to this we can go through the door to the McBride house. Here we see the man and woman of the house, Alice and Dusty, walking around.
What brings you here?
Oh, I just wanted to meet you.
We set up this ranch years back when Novak was just getting settled. But now, with all the danger on I-15, folks are starting to come through here from all over. Novak might just be the next Nevada boomtown.
What do you think of the people who live here?
Oh, we keep to ourselves for the most part. Try not to pry. I think Jeannie Mae gets bothered that we aren't more sociable. But it's just our way. Ain't that we don't appreciate what she's done, managing this town like she has. but I worry she feels that way anyhow. Not that there ain't others who pry around here. That no-bark was skulking around our yard last week. I thought he was our cow killer. Was about to lash him with our bullwhip till I saw who it was. He's harmless, though. Part of me wishes I could see things like he sees them, all full of mystery.
How did Nobart get his name?
I'm not sure who started it. Wasn't a very nice name, but he took to calling himself by it, so we all had to. I don't even remember what his real name is. Anyway, I think it comes from that expression that people say when you're crazy, that not all of your dogs are barking. Poor No-Bark.
What can you tell me about the attacks on your ranch?
Well, it's the strangest thing. Last time it happened, I could swear I heard someone cry out for help. Sounded like a big fella. But when we finally got up the gumption to go look outside, all we found was our cattle. And I know what they sound like when they get upset. I can't imagine what went on. Dusty can probably tell you more about it.
Heading on over to talk to Dusty. We see he's having a problem walking into a table. Oh, now he's wanting to walk into us. Oh, now he wants to walk onto that table again. Hey, Dusty, what do you do here in Novak?
Oh, I tend to my ranch. That's about it. Alice will tell you, I don't get out a whole lot.
I heard you've been losing livestock.
Losing don't describe it. It's a massacre. A few more days and there won't be nothing left to lose.
Tell me what you know about the attacks.
Every night around midnight, Alice and I wake up to some crazy hollering and gunshots. You'd think the world was ending all over again. But it's just one animal each night. They don't take it or carve it up or nothing. Just leave it there, all full of holes.
Did you get a good look at the attacker?
Beg your pardon, ma'am, but them two-headed beeves ain't worth getting shot over. Not to mention what would happen if half of what No-Bark says is true. Best we can hope is that whoever's doing this will move on or get tired of it. I just hope it happens while we still got animals left. Whoever it is, I don't think they're from around town. Seems like they've taken to shooting from the west side.
Well, we learned some important clues from Dusty. This event happens around midnight each night and occurs towards the western side of town. Heading outside and moving west, we see that the corral is fenced in from the west. Would be hard for enemies to get over this, but I suppose they could shoot through it. Moving towards the west, we see some train tracks. There are big rocky hills heading that way, and a road, but we know that that road just leads to the Repcon rocket launch facility. Well, looks like we're just going to have to wait till midnight to see what happens. We find a small outcropping of rock overlooking the corral. I'm going to go ahead and put on my Stealth Suit Mark II from Old World Blues to remain hidden.
Have you ever wanted to be invisible?
Yes, Stealth Suit. That's why I put you on. When ready, we can wait. We see that it's 12:55. This is great. If we wait until 11:55, we should be able to watch the culprit arrive. 5 minutes to midnight. And if Rusty's correct, the culprit should be creeping about now. But we don't see anyone until... What's that? There it is. We see some shimmering movement off to the north. Creeping forward, we clearly see the outline of a nightkin, and he's walking east across the tracks towards the corral. If we follow him there...
Leave me alone!
This one looks pretty tough. That's all.
On his body is a holotape called The Screams of a Brahmin. Popping it open in our inventory, we read that most of what is recorded here is a mess of incomprehensible psychotic gibberish. It seems to express a general frustration towards a set of Brahmin, who are allegedly keeping the author awake at night by screaming inside his head whenever he closes his eyes. Oh, so this nightkin is hearing voices in his head, a side effect of prolonged exposure to Stealth Boy use. And so he comes down here killing these Brahmin, mistakenly thinking that they were keeping him awake. If we choose not to kill him immediately, we can watch the whole scene unfold.
Leave me alone!
He kills one Brahmin and then walks away. Even if we reveal ourselves, he's not hostile. But we also can't talk with him. There's no way to reason with him. No way to stop him from killing these Brahmin. When done, he walks behind this rock and stands here for a while. We can overhear him talking to himself.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stay in control. Stay in control. Not real. Don't look. Not real. No, I won't do it. Shh. Shh. Can't sleep. Can't sleep. Shh.
Oh, this poor Nightkin is suffering. Well, if we choose to kill him, we see that he managed to kill one Brahmin, but the others are all still alive. We can head back into the McBride residence and talk with Dusty.
Find anything?
No one's gonna attack your corral from now on.
Well, I don't know how you've done it, but I do know how I can thank you. Please take this, compliments of Alice and myself. And help yourself to anything in that freezer over yonder. We got more steaks in there than we'd be able to eat in a year.
He rewards us with 75 bottle caps. If for some reason all the Brahmin were killed, we would only get 50 as a reward. Neither Alice nor Nobark have any additional dialogue after we solve the mystery, but we can go into the fridge in the kitchen to find a stack of 10 Brahmin steak. This is a sad and frustrating unmarked quest. On one hand, the Brahmin are the livelihood of the McBride family. They won't be able to make ends meet, or to even eat without their Brahmin. So what this Nightkin is doing is threatening their lives. But the Nightkin is sick. He's otherwise not hostile towards people. He's not doing this because he's evil, he's doing it because he's confused. I feel bad that the only way to get him to stop is to kill him. Sure, he is a Nightkin, he may not be human, but is this one Nightkin's life worth less than the lives of all those Brahmin? In the end, ultimately I chose to kill him to save the McBride family and their livelihood. But was it the right choice? What choice did you make in your game? Did his psychosis give you pause, or did you just kill him and move on with your day? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I publish a new Fallout video 6 days a week on a wide range of topics spanning all of the games. If you want to make sure you don't miss my next episode, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. I've got a brand new shirt in the shop, folks. Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter. We have a two-headed bear charging towards the camera with one of two quotes. I have another version that says, "We won't go quietly." The Legion can count on that. And a version with no quote at all. I also have a version of the shirt that has a California star on it. These shirts come in a wide array of colors and in a variety of sizes. I've got a bunch of other designs in the shop, and if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below. If you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, with a brand new video.